Back to the China question.
Uh-oh.
Well, so we had China Uncensored on the show. I asked him about this, and I'm wondering, are you familiar with Thucydides' trap?
Yeah, vaguely.
Basically, like, we're facing a potential war with China based on historical precedent. I'm wondering if we're already, we're already in it. You know, a lot of people might not want to acknowledge this, but cyber war between the U.S. and China has been pretty intense for a long time.
And let me just draw back to that word, political war.
Right.
Political warfare has been happening. The biggest sign that I ever saw with that was the Chinese have a term to make fun of the woke, which is baiso.
Yes.
Baiso, yeah. It means white left. And
white left.
It does,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like the Wumao accounts on Twitter, Twitter stopped making fun of them. It's like all of a sudden it was like it stopped making fun of them, and then the accounts were like, America has a big systemic racism problem. You know?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And it's like all of a sudden they realize that this is a weapon, because they used to make fun of the white left. Yeah.
Well, now they can see that it's destroying the country, and they should embolden it.
Was Mao's revolution a form of political war in the beginning?
I mean, yeah, they were engaging in political warfare for sure. The goal with the Cultural Revolution was kind of to cover up for the failure of the Great Leap Forward, so that Mao could reclaim power.
So the Great Leap Forward was when he took all the farmers out of the farms?
Yeah, and he took all the farmers and said, you guys are going to all make steel, because
Yeah.
steel is the one big
Pig
measurement.
iron.
Yeah, and they all ended up making crappy pig iron, and nobody was growing food.
Yeah.
And so
Command economy, baby.
it was the great leap into the dumpster is what it worked out to be. A great leap into 50 million dead people, pretty much.
Okay, now that's not funny.
Not so
Yeah.
funny, but yeah, so that was a
Pig
huge
iron.
failure, and they actually kind of chased Mao out of power. And I'm not real sharp on the Chinese history with remembering who all the names are in the Gang of Four and all of this stuff. But then Mao came back with basically with his little red book indoctrinating students and young people in universities and in schools, and unleashed what he called the Red Guard in the Cultural Revolution to destroy the four olds of society. And, you know, old habits, old ideas, old customs, old ways of thinking. What do you think's happening right now? It's like, you know, Dr. Seuss was a man of his time. We have to destroy that. His time was terrible. Thomas Jefferson was a man of his time. Throw a statue in the lake.
Abraham Lincoln.
Man of his time. Take the name off the school in San Francisco. Throw his statue in the lake, too. You know, write like the Antifa A or whatever it is on his face with spray paint.
Anarchy A.
That's what
Which
it is.
apparently they don't understand what that means.
No.
I love this.
Yeah.
People claiming to be,
Authoritarianism A.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's a better one.
Yeah.
Authoritarianism.
By the way, in that essay, just to not to dive into this, but in that essay on liberation I was reading, you repeatedly have Marcuse refer to the need to raise the flag, the red and the black flag. That's what he's always referring to throughout that, in case you wonder like who he's connected to.
Yeah.
What's that, the fascist and the communist flag
No,
together?
no. Red and black is left anarchy.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of, what is it? Black is labor,
Yeah.
and red is
Red,
socialism.
yeah, it's socialism and anarchy is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And then there's black and yellow. That's why Luke really likes black and yellow.
but
That's capitalism.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, right. That's the fancy symbol of Antifa has a black and a red flag. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so he's referring to that in 1969 as like empowering the black and the red. And he even says the black and the red flag must be empowered behind this. And it's like, anti-fascistische Akten, or however it's said in German. My German pronunciation is not very good.
Do you know what the Berlin Wall's real name was?
No.
The Anti-Fascist Protection Rampart. That was the actual name of the Berlin Wall.
Dude,
Sounds
We just
about
call it
right.
the Berlin Wall because that's the colloquial name. That's the common name. But I think it's important we remember what the true name was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing. So I was reading Bella Dodd's testimony again. I read it in December or November last year, and I was reading it again a little bit today and a little bit last week. And Bella Dodd was a member of the Communist Party USA who confessed, or she actually left the party, defected. And in 1953, she confessed everything basically about the Communist Party's ideas to the House Committee on Un-American Activities, now known as the House Judiciary Committee. And, not quite. It assumed all of that former committee's roles and duties, which are technically not dissolved. But she's confessing, and she says, you will always find, I put this on Twitter just yesterday or the day before, you will always find that the communist plan is to dress up its activities in high-minded terms. So you'll find the communists saying that we are the anti-fascists.
Right.
And so if you oppose communism, you must be pro-fascist. And that was she was saying this in the 1950s about how this would happen.
I'm an anti-Republican.
I mean, good. I mean, I have those memes about becoming an anti-Republican.
Yeah. See, I'm an anti-Republican. That means I believe in free speech. It means I believe in the right of the individual to assemble, the Constitution. And if you oppose me, you're pro-Republican.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The-
I'm glad you understand the
The
logic.
communists would say rightists. They hunted down the rightists.
They did. Rightist intent, rightist beliefs. This was big with Mao. Also, of course, bourgeois. But they did go right after rightist. It's too naked. But, I mean, Marcuse put that. His essay, Repressive Tolerance from 1965, the thesis statement is literally almost word for word. Movements from the left must be tolerated under all circumstances. Movements from the right must not be tolerated.
What terrifies me is when I find myself saying people on the left, I feel like I've been indoctrinated and am subconsciously being used as a pawn to segregate this culture war.
No, that's true. What needs to be done is that the willful actors who are participating in this need their own identifiable name that actually sticks. Woke is a thing, but it's slangy.
Right.
Critical social justice is a term that shows up in their literature, but it's scholarly. We could get really technical. It's a critical constructivist. That's what
The
they
Fighting
do.
Mongooses. That's a good team name.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's not too bad. Flying Eagles. But I don't know, what exactly to call them. The repressive left would work, but people have tried variations. It was regressive left for a long time. Repressive is actually more.
I just call them identitarians.
Identitarians is good, yeah. Identity Marxists fits.
I think identitarian works because it's the core ideology for a lot of what they push, and Google search what identitarian means, and then
Yeah, sure.
Authoritarian I like a lot too. If you think of them,
but it's identitarian. These are people who
They're both,
want
definitely.
law based on race.
Yep.
They want law and policy based on identity.
that's
do.
better because if we think of it as left, then they'll use that
Yeah.
to then hunt people down.
Right. And it's easy to be opposed to racism in all its forms, right?
Yeah.
Racism's wrong in all its forms is a very powerful, simple statement that also has the concept of what Robert Lifton would have called thought-stopping technique, which is what they use on you all the time. When they call you a racist, they're using thought-stopping techniques. Lifton was, by the way, describing how Mao was able to use the Red Guard to take over when he talked about cults being built. And he was specifically
Look, man.
analyzing the Maoist one.
They're going to put $500,000 into this autonomous zone. Apparently, I don't know what that means.
Did they say what it was for? Or?
No.
It's GFAS.
Yeah,
That's
GFAS.
cool. I'm not gonna lie. Stepping out of the system for a minute, GFAS sounds cool.
Yeah.
Don't you want to go down and hang out at the GFAS?
I don't know, I
Yes,
gotta
but they'll
see what
shoot
it's-
me, so I'm not going.
Oh,
to.
never
Yeah,
mind.
good.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No.
journalists showed up and they were like, "Something bad's about to happen right now." He's like, "Okay, we're leaving."
Yeah, that's true.
What a loser.
Yeah.
If you see a journalist shows up, he's like, "What do you mean? I'm outside." And they're like, "You better leave." I'd be like, "Shut your mouth, kid. Go home."
Again,
Bring
I'm telling
it.
you.
Make
is-
it happen.
That's a decision dilemma, too. They got put in a decision dilemma.
Yep.
And they
People
lost.
are cowards.
Wait, what do you mean? What's the decision dilemma?
You have to either show weakness or you have to overreact.
Interesting. When they get up in your face and they're like, you better get out of here. That kind of thing.
Well, I was actually talking about the just the establishment of an autonomous zone at all. They're
Right.
They're basically playing chicken with the city.
Oh, yeah.
And if the city overreacts, they're going to be like, "Help, fascists!"
This is why we need clown block.
Clown block.
Yeah.
Is that like bat anti-shark spray?
100 people dressed in clowns, just dancing and playing music and like
yeah.
banging drums and like
Bring the clowns.
just because there's no aggression, there's no attack, there's no affiliation.
Just bizarre.
It's bizarre and it occupies space and sullies their ideology.
That's very Butlerian.
Listen, if you send in a group of Proud Boys, it's horrifying white supremacists attacking poor Black Lives Matter protesters.
So my friend told me that the Proud Boys should all put on, like, they should march socially distanced on purpose. They should all wear rainbow masks. They should have like, like the feminist power fist, like in the circle with the plus on their, like, emblazoned on their chest or whatever. And they should go in singing like John Lennon's Imagine, and then just see what happens, because that puts them in a decision dilemma.
But the story would then be far-right white supremacists troll Black Lives Matter protesters.
Maybe.
What happens if a bunch of unnamed, unidentifiable clowns show up playing music and banging drums and giving out funnel cake and cotton candy?
400 articles about the Joker.
They'll just say a bunch of clowns showed up and are occupying the space and playing music. And when they're asked about what they're doing, they just go.
And then who are the clowns? The people that occupy the autonomous zone, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're all clowns. The autonomous zone is just occupied by a large group of clowns. Every single
Clown
one of them.
world.
Oh, snap.
That's it. Each and every clown is unidentifiable. They're not a political faction. They have no political ideology. Their faces are painted and they're wearing wigs. They're not identifiable. They don't bring weapons. They don't fight anybody. Literally just clowns having fun, riding little tricycles and laughing and hugging and dancing. And what would happen if a parade of clowns with balloons got brutally beaten by Antifa?
It would be art that was watched for millennia. people would reference those videos of the clowns being taken away in handcuffs.
By who?
By
Cops,
like in
cops can't go
movies,
in.
it would be
No,
terrifying.
listen.
I mean, it'd be
It's
hilariously
a decision
horrifying.
dilemma. What can these groups do if clowns occupy their space? Peaceful, happy, go lucky, friendly, family friendly people there just to have bring a smile to people's faces who may be sad.
This is you are creating the decision dilemma back for them,
Right?
And
No
which
public
is actually what you have to do.
No public announcements, no organization, just 100 clowns showing up on a certain date, just to bring joy to people.
Joy and peace and love and funnel cake, of course.
Anti-violence.
Yep,
And if you oppose the anti-violence, then you're pro-violence.
that's right.
You'd have to sustain it to really have an impact. Like
I mean,
7 weeks of clowns. And they
Yeah.
could always be the same clowns, but different people could
But you
come
could
in
do
and
this
take...
everywhere. You could do it everywhere. Because when you look at the black bloc, what the activists do and they all wear black, you can't figure out who these people are. You don't necessarily know what their ideology is or what they want, and they do this on purpose so they can't get caught when they commit crimes.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to smear a bunch of clowns? Just a bunch of clowns.
Touche, dude. I'm in it.
No, this is good. This
Yeah.
is I mean, it creates the necessary dynamic that you have to do. People ask me all the time, like, what's basically the strategy? What kind of thing do you have to do? You have to put that. They're trying to put you in a decision dilemma. You have to put them back in a decision dilemma. And mid-level violence, beating
know
them
what
mid-level
happened?
violence is how you do it.
One of these leftists would dress like a clown and throw a Molotov.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other thing, because
Yep.
like I was talking to a guy who wants like I can't build technologies, and maybe you guys can. He was saying that what would be really helpful is if you had like this app where even if it's just anonymous, that you could type in your school board or whatever, like Brown school board or whatever, and you could find or school district, and you could find out like parents can go in and opt in anonymously or whatever. Maybe there's a community function, maybe there's not, but you could actually just know there's like 90 other parents in the school district who oppose critical race theory.
Yep.
So you feel more emboldened to be able to speak up. And if you could connect with one another, even if it's anonymous at first or whatever. But I was like, that's just going to get, like, activists are just going to make fake accounts and descend on that like crazy.
Right.
Maybe if it's like, just yes, there are people here.
You can make it
saying that-
anonymous,
Yeah.
no one can see your name, so you can say whatever you want.
Right. I mean, that would have to be the case, because the second they find out who you are, there's trouble.
I don't think so. I think the only reason there's trouble is because there's 100 people, 10 of them are pointing, the baseball bat, and the other 90 are like, but no one will have my back.
Yeah, well, this is the odds aren't that good for them, actually. I've heard so many stories now, because I get like preferential stories of this sort sent to me. I've heard so many stories where you have a school district, for example, that serves maybe 5,000-10,000 families total in a community, and the people do some digging and find out that it's a dozen activists, 12 against thousands.
Right.
And I've had cases where there's been small cities in the U.S. where people on either like the city council or whatever have contacted me and said, we did some digging, we're getting constant relentless harassment and tons of comments on all the message boards, blah, 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 from different accounts. Well, they're all fake. Turns out there's like 20 people. Only one of them's a constituent, because you have to have one to be able to file stuff. And it's what tipped them off is like, why does the same person file everything, right? That requires a constituent to file.
Right.
But it's like,
Because the only one.
it looks like there's 400 people. This happens to me on Twitter all the time. So I tweet something about Hegel's philosophy, like anybody cares, right? And all of a sudden, I start getting dunked on, which is strange enough. It must be touching some wire. And then I'm having like cartoon characters with like 60 followers reply tweet to my tweet, getting 300, 400 likes within an hour or two. Like, you can't tell me that's organic. Like, that's not normal. That's not normal Twitter behavior in any universe. So
I just don't check notifications.
But no, the point is that what you actually have with a lot of these activists is you have a perception that there are lots of them. But what there actually are very small numbers of them, usually, with lots of accounts that are swarming in artificial fake ways to make it look like there's lots and lots and lots of people.
That's a military tactic where you'll make it seem like there's more of you surrounding the enemy to confuse them, set off explosives over there and noise over there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think these people feel like they're insurgents.
They are insurgents. They know they're insurgents. The ones who are not just like your average like dopey foot soldier wokey, they know what they're doing. They're very informed. They know that they're just trying to claim power. They know what the tactics are. They have books like Beautiful Trouble that are activist handbooks that tell them how to do this.
I'm at a bit of a loss. Maybe you can help. Now, I'm a big advocate of turn the other cheek. I believe if someone wrongs you, the best thing you can do is just allow it, understand, see their humanity. But I also see they crucified Jesus after he told people to do that. So, like, One time a friend of mine would smack my leg a lot, and I was like, it really hurt. And I was like, please stop hitting me. But she just was doing it. It was just programmed to do it. And one day I said, if you do it again, I'm going to hit you as hard as you're hitting me. So she did it again, and I hit her, smacked her super hard. And she was screamed ow and never hit me again.
Yeah, well,
the situation was solved.
Yeah, you hear this with parents and children who bite a lot, is that they finally just, bite the kid back. And it's like, that's what it feels like. The kid never bites again.
Interesting.
And it's like, there is a point there. And this is where I was saying earlier, cancel that. If someone comes to cancel you, cancel them first. It's kind of like it's semi-humorous, thing. But I don't think until I keep saying the asymmetry is the story. The asymmetry is the goal. The goal of repressive tolerance from 1965 was to create this asymmetry. Left good, right bad. Marcuse, in that essay, by the way, if you want to see how close to what is happening now it is, he says that the problem isn't even that right-wing movements exist and do things or that they would be violent. They have to be stopped at the point where the thought enters their head. Therefore, it requires not even just censorship, but pre-censorship of movements from the right. And that asymmetry is what's being attempted. That's what cancel culture is meant to do. Cancel culture is meant to create pre-censorship. In other words, the idea is not even out there anymore. People are afraid, even if they hold the idea, to say it, because if they say it, they're going to get canceled. They're going to get shot down off of their platform. They're going to lose whatever it is that's their living or whatever happens to be. Their kids are going to get harassed at school. So pre-censorship, to prevent people from even feeling like they can say the thing, is really their objective. And until the symmetry is restored, it's just going to be L after L after L after L stacking up.
Until people grow spines and just say, shut up, I don't care.
Well, I mean, historically speaking, from what I've been told, but I'm not a scholar of this, so I can't talk about it deeply, is until the children of the actual elites start having an impact, or the parents, I should say, of the children see it impacting their children's lives.
But it's already happening.
Sort of.
And they're playing into it.
Sort of. I mean, that's the problem, is a lot of people at that level have bought into the ideology.
Yeah.
I hear from parents all the time that say, like, the one thing I wish more desperately than any is that I could talk to other parents at my kid's school and say, don't you just think this is all bogus? Don't you think it's a terrible idea that they're bringing in trans strippers to dance?
Those people need to have someone throw a large ice-cold water balloon in their face.
Well, they said what's happening is they know that if, especially, and this is true in private schools, elite private schools, that if they say that to the wrong parent, their kid's going to get pushed out of the school.
Good. Why is your kid in that school in the first place?
That's kind of the feeling that I have. I've been kind of pissed off at people for a long time, which it's like, people are like, I'm scared I'm going to lose my job. It's like, everybody's going to lose their job if this goes badly.
Why do you want to work for a company that's funding this?
Yeah.
Look, I've stopped caring a lot about these autonomous zones to a certain degree, in that Portland voted for the rioters. They literally voted for the rioters. And a lot of people are like, dude, I can't leave, I'm stuck. I sympathize, I empathize. If you're stuck and you can't afford to leave, I understand. But maybe at a certain point you have to realize that we live in trying times and the world is not perfect. See, for me, maybe it's easier. I don't have children. I've been homeless before. I'm not scared of it. If I had to just walk into the woods, I'd be like, okay. But too many people are scared. They lived in comfort for too long and they're scared of losing that luxury because they don't understand what it's like to actually have to survive on the streets. And you know what? Surviving on the streets, infinitely easier than surviving in the woods. And you don't even have to do that. No one's talking about, making you a homeless person living under a bridge. We're just saying they might take your kid out of the school and then you got to figure out something for your kid.
Yeah.
Homeschool them.
This is the truth, is that the thing that you said, that we live in trying times now and people have to start living as though, this is something I get mad about at the very smart people a lot, is, my opinion is, I would agree with you if the world was the same way it was 5 years ago. I even said that. I got asked a question. I gave a talk recently at a major university, very famous major university. And I got asked a question that was very much to that. They were like, well, don't you think you turn people off by some of the way that you behave on Twitter and the way that you behave? And I was like, first of all, I don't care at all. Good. Bye. But second of all, most importantly, is like, I can't why buy? Because I can't put a chain around my neck and constrain the way that I need to feel like I need to talk to say what I need to say because it might upset somebody who follows me on Twitter. I don't care. But secondly, and much more importantly, if the world was the way it was 5 years ago, I would, or the way we thought it was 5 years ago, I probably would believe you or agree with you, but it's not. We're in a bad situation right now. And if you don't act like we're in a bad situation right now and start living like what time it actually is, then this just keeps getting worse. And it gets harder. I told people this at the beginning of the riots last summer. This won't blow over. The longer you wait to stand up, the harder it gets.
Well, I'll put it this way. We're all on a boat, and that boat is taking on water. And you've got people like me and James Lindsay and Ian and other people we have on the show who are looking you in the face right now and say, start bailing. And they're going, but, I don't know if I should, because then people are they're going to find out that I know the ship is sinking. And then I'd rather, look, if I climb to the top of the Titanic and go to the back, it's not sinking over there. It's actually going up. I think that'll be fine. It's like, bro, the whole thing's going to split in half and it's going to go under. And I'll tell you this, we're all making our ways toward the lifeboats. We tried bailing water. Maybe we're past that point. Now we're at the point where those of us who've been paying attention, and many of you who are watching, have already started getting ready for whatever those lifeboats figuratively are. And a lot of people who think they can sit back and shut up and keep their head down are going to be in for a very, very rude awakening.
I will tell you.
There's a meme where death goes knocking on every door. And every door there's like a trail of blood coming out. And the meme will show like video game companies or movies or whatever. And then he's knocking on the next door. People seem to think, I will sit in my house, and as these psychopaths go door to door threatening people, if I put up the flag, they'll walk past me. And then, oh no, one day they don't. They knock on your door and they say, well, are you going to give us money now? Like they did to the businesses in Louisville. Do you know that story?
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter went around to all the local businesses downtown and said, tithe or else. And when one Cuban immigrant said no, they shattered a pot and said, tithe or else. And then they set up barricades and called him racist and shut down his business. That's what happens. Tithe or else. They demanded a percentage of the income from these businesses. Sit back at your own peril. Fine. But don't come crawling to me when you keep saying, but I'm scared to talk to the other parents. Okay, well then you reap what you've sown. You are the one watering the flowers of destruction, and then you're going to come and complain about it later? Dude, the rest of us are getting into the weeds and pulling out the trash and getting rid of the grubs while you're sitting back saying, I don't want to get my hands dirty.
Okay, I'll say, yes, bail. Pick up a pail and bail the water.
Love it.
Also, get the lifeboats ready. But I think we can salvage the hull. So if you're interested in the structure of the system and you want to repair it, that is also possible. But we need to get the lifeboats ready and we need to bail. That is by speaking your mind online. You make a video, you let people know.
It's by talking to other parents and saying, that's ridiculous. No, I'm sorry. That makes no sense. And then if they get mad and they huff and puff, be like, you keep your cool and you be polite and you be nice and you let them freak out. You want them to show their true colors when they have the tribalist panic attack.
That's right.
And this is why I always try to be very nice on Twitter, because I want people to look at the interactions between these lunatics and see someone saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, and them saying, F you, you slime ball, I hate your guts. And then when a regular person who's uninitiated sees that, they go, I don't want to hang out with the mean person.
Yeah. You can't let the lie come through you. I said earlier the Soviet Union lasted 70 years of pretty crap, to put it mildly. Do you know what led the Soviet Union when it started to actually collapse? I mean, there's lots of economic factors and some other stuff and whatever, but it's when the people, the citizens, actually started to laugh at it. It's like everybody knew for a long time it was a lie, and they just kind of did it. At some point, they started to laugh at it. And so when Tim said, it's one parent talking to another and saying, that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's stupid, I guess, but think about Harry Potter, right? So you had your literature reference. I can have my dorky literature reference.
Harry Potter, come on.
Harry Potter 3 with the werewolf, come on.
Good one.
And which one does he teach, right? You have this...
The boggarts?
The shape-changing boggarts. The thing that you're afraid of, it turns into the thing you are the most afraid of. It's going to take away the thing you're most worried about. It's a shape-shifting thing. You don't know what it is. And what is the magic spell that breaks it, that destroys it? Ridiculous. You call the thing ridiculous. You just laugh at it. And that this is actually a very useful parable, because the truth is this ideology, as horrible and dangerous as it is also ridiculous. It is patently ridiculous. The things that it says, the things that it claims are laughably dumb. Like,
you know what you do? It's really, really simple. Get your friends, if you're a parent and you're anti-woke, and then invite an unsuspecting woke person to a barbecue. And then when they're sitting there, start chanting, "Gooble gobble, one of us, Gooble gobble, one of us," and that will absolutely convince them to change their minds. Or run away screaming, like in the movie.
Dude, you can do a drum circle too.
Yeah.
That might
drum
work.
circle.
Yeah, it's more subliminal.
Well, you got to be careful not to appropriate anything then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Snare drums.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.